Murder.
Proceed, map reference 613, 694 units. Between lanes 2 and 3. Takes us 120 miles an hour. Directly under the helicopter now. Still 130 southbound.
Accidents can happen any time, and you have to expect the unexpected. We've all experienced traffic jams like this, but as the car population continues to grow, we're increasingly likely to encounter the unexpected. To combat reckless driving, the police are developing more and more sophisticated ways of recording bad driving. This programme brings you more incidents captured on camera by Britain's police of some of the common and less common examples of thoughtless and careless driving, and their consequences. Spotted doing a U-turn on a busy motorway, the Metropolitan Police were more than a little baffled as to what this white car was trying to achieve. As the driver emerged and headed toward the cones, they wondered whether he might be from the government's cone hotline on an unofficial check. His true intention, incredible as it might seem, soon became clearer and clearer, as gradually a path through the cones, large enough for a car to pass, was cleared. Fed up with the slow pace of traffic in the direction he was travelling, the driver chose to abandon any notion of good sense and attempted to join the other carriageway. The fact that the cones were there as a warning and a deterrent was simply ignored. Once through, the driver has to negotiate a perilous re-entry into the traffic flow, made especially dangerous because, of course, he has to join the fast-moving traffic in the outside lane. When the driver was later pulled over by police, he explained he had no idea that his manoeuvre was illegal and hadn't realised what the cones indicated. But then, it was his first trip to Britain, from the Ukraine. Cones, road signs and markings are there for a purpose and meant to be heeded. But this speeding motorist barely slows down as he approaches a built-up area and completely ignores that 40-mile-an-hour limit. He's totally unprepared when a dog crosses the road in front of him. This impatient white escort disregards the road markings, just to save a few seconds, but lost far more time when he was stopped by the police. But however frustrating being held up can be, the hard shoulder is not meant for overtaking. Flouting the rules of the road like this can hamper rescue operations for drivers who really need to use it. Fortunately, no one was driving towards this convoy, as this driver ignores the double white lines on a blind bend. The results could have been catastrophic.
A car in flames is mercifully something you see more often in the movies than in real life. Nevertheless, our vehicles do contain large quantities of highly flammable materials, and whilst an exploding fuel tank may be rare, fires do happen, and often for the most mundane of reasons. A leaking fuel cap, an electrical fault, or a cigarette not extinguished properly can often lead to a highly dangerous situation.
This camper van has just caught fire. Its two occupants have managed to salvage a few bits from it, But all they can do now is watch forlornly from a distance until help arrives. If your car ever catches fire when you're driving, the safest thing to do is stop, get out of the car as soon as possible, and call the fire brigade. Trying to deal with the situation yourself often makes things worse. Opening the bonnet fans the flames, as the fire will only get bigger when it has access to more oxygen. And most car-sized fire extinguishers are sorely inadequate for the job they're designed for, so don't bank on them. We'd also do well to follow the example of these van owners, who've taken the wise precaution of standing well away from the blaze. The speed at which it spreads is quite astonishing. In the space of 3 minutes, this van has turned from a cloud of smoke into an inferno. Now watch what happens as the white lorry drives past. An exploding petrol tank can easily throw dangerous metal debris across the width of a motorway carriageway. In this particular case, the fire brigade were on the scene within 15 minutes, but it was too late to save this van, which is by now completely gutted. But the danger is never past until the fire is out, and sometimes even the professionals are taken by surprise. And it's not just the petrol tank that can explode. Watch the tyre on the front of the van. With clouds of smoke threatening the safety of other drivers, the police take the extra precaution of closing the 3 lanes of the motorway until the danger is past. The prompt and intelligent reaction of the occupants saved their lives, but their prized possession is reduced to a burnt-out shell. Here, a lorry has caught fire on the M25, and the police are again concerned for the safety of other drivers. The fire brigade has been called, but in the meantime, 2 officers attempt to deal with the blaze themselves. Unable to stop its spread, they instruct the driver to unhook the tractor unit and drive it from the load. The police also withdraw in order to close off nearby lanes, thus keeping the public from potential danger and to give the fire brigade room to manoeuvre. By the time the firefighters arrive, the lorry is well and truly ablaze. As the cargo of packed cardboard burns, it also billows out clouds of thick smoke, which could have proved extremely dangerous had the wind been blowing in the opposite direction. If you come across a burning vehicle on the motorway like this, the police have several recommendations. If smoke is blocking the motorway, treat it like fog. Slow down and put on your lights. If there are flames, then keep your distance. Change lanes away from the blaze if you can do safely.
It's got a rear side gone, but we may be able to swap it round.
It may be tempting to slow down and have a look, but you can put yourself and others in danger.
When I was learning to drive, the moment I dreaded most was having to practice reversing around corners. Having to worry about oncoming traffic, having to twist round in your seat so you can see through the rear window, making steering even more difficult. It's a manoeuvre fraught with dangers and difficulties, and one that you should only attempt if you're absolutely certain that other road users are not compromised. Something this next driver obviously forgot.
Seeing congestion on the motorway up ahead, this driver has decided the best way out of trouble is to reverse back up the slip road. The driver then waits to rejoin the roundabout, but manages to choose the worst possible moment.
Gosh, truth. That was close, wasn't it?
The driver of this white car has missed his turning, but obviously thinks it'll be quicker to turn back than drive up to the next junction. So he's decided to reverse along the hard shoulder. Perhaps he underestimated just how far he'd driven, as the reverse goes on and on, and yet still further on. He'd been reversing for so long the police patrol car had had a chance to drive from motorway control a few miles away. He was sent back in the direction he came from with a few extra points on his licence. Now watch out for the black cab travelling in between the cones in the middle lane. He may have studied the knowledge, but it seems in this case a little learning is a bad thing. Cabs may have special dispensation to use bus lanes, but not the hard shoulder. As he reverses into oncoming traffic, a shocked motorist can be seen flashing his lights. The cab's licence plate was caught on camera. The only tip he got for this journey was from the police. And this driver's actions amount to near suicidal stupidity, especially with the road wet with rain. Having nearly frightened himself to death, the driver gives up on his manoeuvre and rejoins the carriageway until he can exit at the next junction. The driver of a broken-down car needed to get to a garage, but after he got no response trying to thumb a lift, he tried a more dramatic way of attracting attention and took off his trousers. Unfortunately for him, his striptease received an unenthusiastic reception, and the only car to stop was a patrol car.
The helicopter's bird's eye view can provide the police on the ground with invaluable assistance.
In our next clip, the aircraft gives a runaway car thief no respite. Even when he manages to evade momentarily his pursuers on the ground, the helicopter remains on his tail. It's then a simple matter of coordinating the ground forces to close in on him.
Yeah, people and all units of Engine 09, it is now on tape,
Taunton Road towards Lombard roundabout. Over.
Taunton Road, received.
Passing MFI on the left-hand side. We've got Martin Crescent on the left. Papa 4 in front of us. 80 miles an hour. Indian 99 above.
The light is fading on this April evening in Croydon, but at the speeds the fugitive is travelling, the glowing white engine and tyres prove an easy target for the thermal imaging camera to follow.
Left side of the roundabout. Now Mitchell Road towards Croydon.
Mitchell Road, received.
Another Oscar unit at the junction, right.
The right of the junction, Indian 99, please.
Yeah, straight on, same direction. You've now got another Oscar unit 200 metres behind. Approaching roundabout, dog van at the roundabout. Blocking in traffic MP, blocking in traffic, wrong siding. And he's taking the fourth exit. So units go right, past the bus. That's it, Oscar units go right now. That's it.
Towards Sumner, we can see the bird of a center traffic light just turning to green.
Wait, Oscar 417, confirm Mitcham Road, Emperor.
Sumner Road, he's just turning on southbound now.
Right. Next right, Oscar units, next right.
Yes, received.
And first right. Stand by. Nearly lost it. I think he's going to abandon it. He's now going north, going right. Go right.
The road is in, Emperor.
It was the first
Left units.
turn left again now.
Right, he's gone left again. Hits one parked vehicle MP. Accelerating back towards the gasometers towards IKEA. Echo Lima, yeah, you got him. Take over the commentary.
He's at another junction, there's one other.
Right, he's just missed about 15 children on the pavement into a cul-de-sac. Units into a cul-de-sac, stand by. Out of the vehicle. He's gone straight to a driveway. That's it straight ahead.
On the ground with the name of the road, Emperor.
go first left up the footpath towards the railway station. Left, guys. Left, and right at the end. Left. He's run up the footpath, MP, and he's parallel to the railway station, hiding in a garden.
In the garden.
Yeah, male IC1, long black coat, blue jeans, grey top. Units at the crossroads go right. Right, dog fan. Run up the alleyway. He's walking slowly on the footpath by the railway track up towards the flyover. He is now running past the garages. The police officers have got to get behind the houses, go for the flyover,
Can any...
MP99, he's now running up the steps on the side of the flyover.
D99, stand by just for 1 second. Can I have the road where the vehicle has decamped in him, cover?
Solo, stop, he's on your left. That's him. Solo, go forward 15 metres, that's him on the bridge. Solo, that's him, half left now. That's him, you got him.
And after the inevitable arrest will come the inevitable prison sentence.
They've now been detained, MP. Plenty of units on scene.
It's never too early to learn the rules of the road. And with 25% of road deaths involving young people under the age of 21, education is clearly the best way of cutting accidents and reducing casualties. Here at Birchwood School in Hertfordshire, the young drivers of tomorrow are learning the principles of road safety through a series of simple exercises. This simulation of a motorway pile-up clearly demonstrates to the children the value of stopping distances and the importance of watching what's happening up ahead. Some grown-ups on the road could do well to pay attention.
High streets full of shops and people can be a tempting distraction for the driver. But keep your eyes on the road ahead as the oncoming traffic slows down. The consequences are far more costly than window shopping. The scenery may have changed, but just watch the junction coming up on the left. The result of not being aware on the road, wherever you happen to be driving, is always the same. Now watch the speed clock on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. The legal limit for towing a trailer on the motorway is 60 miles an hour, but the driver seems quite oblivious to this restriction. Anyone driving at over 80 miles an hour is breaking the law by a wide margin, and when they're towing a trailer, they're being downright dangerous. At these speeds, it's hardly surprising that the driver fails to react in time to a wave of slow-moving traffic in front of him. When joining the motorway, this driver seemed more preoccupied with moving rapidly into the outside lane than with watching what was happening up ahead. He crashes through a line of cones, scattering them across the carriageway. He may be worried he's scratched his paintwork, but cones strewn across other lanes are causing chaos and confusion to drivers behind him, which could have resulted in far greater damage. This police car near Belfast was ensuring the safe passage of an abnormally wide load along a narrow country lane, when this speeding motorist came tearing round a blind bend. The unexpected procession caused the driver to momentarily lose control of his car. Concerned for everyone's safety, the police turned their vehicle around to find the car they've just seen speeding toward them, facing the other way behind them and on the other side of the road. When this large storage drum fell onto a motorway near Leatherhead, the driver got things right. Rather than trying to recover the load himself, he called to the police for assistance, who helped remove the potential hazard. Further up the motorway, the police have slowed traffic down to allow these officers to remove it safely. Do remember, traffic police are there to help, as well as to enforce the law. And here, they were even prepared to help shift something that had fallen off the back of a lorry. Something that is always a safe bet to provide the unexpected hazard to the British motorist is the British weather. A sudden strong wind had blown this truck onto its side. Enlisting the support of a recovery vehicle, the police soon unblocked this lane of a Surrey motorway. But not all incidents are cleared up so quickly. When his car broke down, this man pulled onto the hard shoulder to call the police on his mobile phone. But it didn't work, so he had to get out and use the emergency telephone. Inconvenient at the time, but it saved his life. While he was on the phone, 2 lorries drove headlong into his car. A third of motorway accidents happen on the hard shoulder. If you break down, the best thing to do is to get out of your vehicle. If this makes you feel unsafe, sit in the passenger seat, but keep your eyes fixed on the rearview mirror so you can get out quickly.
Like a first kiss, everyone remembers their first car, even if it was an old jalopy. Whatever the make, colour, cost or condition, hours of deliberation will go into choosing what is one of our most expensive single purchases. All of which makes it doubly mystifying why some people treat their most prized possession so carelessly the minute they get out on the road.
Not ensuring the car doors are closed can be a costly mistake. All this driver lost were a few personal belongings. But imagine if there'd been a child in the back. One way of losing your prized possession is to drink and drive. The driver in the car in front of this car was 3 times over the legal limit when he suddenly turned right in front of the oncoming traffic. Not only was the car an insurance write-off, the driver lost his licence. The driver of this car won't be keeping his licence long if he carries on driving like this. Careless driving will cost you between 3 and 9 points on your licence. 12 and you're banned. One of the most dangerous ways of driving on the road is by weaving in and out of the traffic to try and get ahead. Not only was this Capri driver threatening the safety of other road users, but he soon attracted the attention of the police.
Making little signs out the window now.
Is he?
Yeah.
Coming off here?
Pretty good.
You, stop!
Not all racing drivers drive Formula One cars. These 2 ageing vans are determined not to let the other get ahead. This selfish behaviour is extremely dangerous and can cause accidents. For 6 miles, these 2 vans monopolised both lanes of the carriageway, preventing traffic from passing until eventually the box van gives in. And this van is indicating to turn left. Or is it right? Wrongly wired taillights suggest both options. Other road users, beware. And finally, the unexpected hazards of the road can prove too much for some drivers, particularly if they're caught in a traffic jam on a hot August afternoon. But taking your frustrations out on others is not a good idea. Were it not for this female tag team wrestling some sense into Mr. Angry, he could have faced a more serious charge than a traffic violation.
Hold me close, don't let me go. Oh no, you and me. Yes, I love it, we'll stop at the show. Do you know, with your love light shining clearly, it's so good to have